Hey guys, it's Heather. So the Watchtower article that they studied today was about love. Now they didn't call it agape love, but it was basically agape love. The commandment that God put in the Bible for you to put others' needs and, be careful about, put others' needs first, be careful about stumbling them. You were commanded to have this love for one another. I found it really interesting that, the article was about love in the congregation and not about family. But if you think about it and read ahead into the next Watchtower articles, it's driven more and more and more into like the persecution and relying on the congregation. So they're basically, I feel like they're starting to draw people away from the family and trying to draw them into being more reliant on their congregation for affection. I feel like they're trying to depend more on agape. I have a definition here that says a love which centers on moral preference. Divine love, in other words, what God prefers. Everyone was commanded to do this. But when you look at the scripture that describes stergos, the natural affection people would be lacking in the last days, that is cherishing one's kindred. It is an innate love for one's child or parents or kin. And now storge is that natural affection. It's only mentioned in the Bible twice. And Bible scholars are all of the same mind that this is just such a natural and human thing. It didn't really need to be talked about. But storge was mentioned many times and never in a positive context. And I feel like they're training people to have this lack of affection. Do you remember the convention interview where the mom was like, I told my two sons that I would love them, I would die for them, I would do anything in the world for them, but if they left Jehovah, I would not be there. You know what, y'all? That just makes me sad. I know a lot of you feel the same way. But that's not love. That's like, we commanded you to love them, and that's what you're doing. But when we command you not to, you're not going to, because you don't have that natural affection for them. And there's a lot more that we're going to go into in depth. But let me tell you about a brand new experience. I've heard a lot of conflicting information about my grandfather. He's the family patriarch and zealot. I'm like, you know what? We're going to cut through all the bull crap. I'm either going to cross that bridge or I'm going to burn it the hell down. And I called him and I asked him directly. One of his questions, avoiding the whole rest of that conversation, that's another topic. One of his questions was super cringy. And I probably don't have the level of praise in this question that he put in for, whatever. Have you made any efforts or changes to work back towards Jehovah God's one and only ordained earthly organization on this earth or some crap? And I told him that for conscientious reasons, that was not currently in the plans. You know what his response was? Get ready for it. I'm going to scare the crap out of you. Apostate! He said, no. This conversation's over. I said, look, I'm not coming back for conscientious reasons. I said, do you even want to hear what they are? And he's like, no, no, no. I'm like, this is your own publications I'm about to reference. He's like, what part of no don't you understand, apostate? He's like, this conversation's over. Click. That's loving. He had his first opportunity in 14 years to reestablish a relationship, and without even being able to question why, without being willing to hear why, because with the elaborately described 8 men in New York, this is where we're drawing the line, because I questioned them. I had some conscientious reasons not to want to follow them. He didn't care what the conscientious reasons were. He didn't care if it was scriptural. He didn't care if it was publication based. The conversation was dead, gone, and over. He was done. Without question. In your congregations, family, friends, people you grew up with, people you depend on, and they depend on you and look up to. People involved in your whole life. All it takes is a sentence, less than 10 words, and they're done. So-and-so is no longer a Jehovah's Witness. It could be something simple as getting caught drunk in public, and you never drink again, and if you don't put yourself back in the congregation, they will never speak to you again. And they could be family. They don't even have to know why. They don't even have to know why. Nobody asked me what I did. When my mom got disfellowship, nobody asked her. Not even close friends. They don't even have to know why. They're not even going to ask. They don't even care. Now, if you can do that and drop your own children or family, did you ever really love them? Or were they kept at arm's length the entire time you had a relationship with them? Guys, people aren't naturally able to do that. That is not natural affection. That is not normal. Where else except in high control groups does that happen? It's sad. Like, even Philostargos. It's the natural affection you have for a close friend. Did you ever really love them? If you could drop them off the face of the planet because one person made an announcement from a stage that was less than 10 sentences. They've been at arm's length the entire time. That mom at the convention held her own children at arm's length. She would die for you, but because she's commanded to. And when she's commanded not to, she won't. Man, that is wholly unnatural. Let me take a look at some notes here real quick. 2 Timothy 3:15. But realize this, that in the last days, difficult times, hard to deal with, will be here. Now, I looked at multiple translations, and I'm not reading straight, but for men will be lovers of themselves. They don't really care. Their salvation is all they care about. They don't even love you enough to ask you why. Lovers of money. My grandfather literally also told me that he gave his children their inheritance already. And he lives, sleeps, eats, breathes, and does business for the sole purpose of giving to God's one and only organization. There's a lot more praise that he gave into the description. Trust me. It was really cringy. Boastful. Arrogant. Revilers. Also translated as abusive. It's not just starting fights. They're abusive. You know a tree by its fruits, and these people are turning out like 80,000 people a year minimum. And only like into the disfellowshipping and the disassociation, and only 1 out of 3 come back statistically. And by my estimations, 4 to 5 times the national or worldwide suicide rate is happening in that demographic. That's insane. That's abusive. It is legitimately abusive in the behavior itself too, but like just the fruits itself prove it's abusive. Disobedient to parents. Now in context, this is like, they prioritize other things over their own parents. Like, I'm not going to give to you because I'm giving to God, and you know what? Screw you. Whatever. That was literally what my grandfather told me, basically. Ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable. Literally would not hear any reason. Slanderous. They slander apostates. They basically poison the well. Basically, they put out lies to pre-wash your opinion of people like me and all the other apostates. Like, we are good people. We may or may not have a faith. I do have a faith. I'm not saying it's right or wrong either way, because, that's on you to decide. I can't control that for you. But, yeah, whatever. Moving on. Gossips, without self-control, also known as savage. In my mind, being wholly negligent to the mental health of that poor fruit we just talked about you're turning out, and the suicide rate, and the child abuse. That's basically there. Brutal. Yep. There again. Haters of good. Treacherous. There again. Reckless. Once again, you're reckless with how you treat people. Conceited, otherwise known as puffed up. We're the only ones who are going to survive Armageddon. Lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. What about this persecution complex? Is that basically being a masochist? I don't know. They really seem to enjoy that. Holding a form of godliness, although proving false to its power. Yeah. Like, these people are literally in their watchtowers establishing that they are hitting so many of these key points. They had a whole article about love and did not mention family once. And if you keep looking forward to the next ones, they talk about how basically you're going to rely on your congregation. You're going to try and bring your family in, but if you don't, you can't help that, and you're going to be losing them. But you have to do what you can, and if you can't, you just deal with it. Like, it's like, in my mind, it's scary, guys. And I got to close this up because we're going on 14 minutes. We're going to get into a more detailed discussion about Storge and Agapé a little bit later on. I've got a lot more research that I did, but I wanted to get this out just because of the Watchtower article that they studied today. So, anywho, my husband should be home any minute now, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.